Hello Team Fantastic, it is Sunday and I am Kai, and today's topic is advice to parents who have trans kids. If you are a parent and you are watching this, that is great because that means that you are already taking the first step. You have not kicked your child out. You are a good parent already. So if you're looking to educate yourself, you've come to the right place. YouTube is probably the best place you can go to educate yourself about anything that has to do with the LGBT plus spectrum. There are many trans YouTubers, people that will talk about it. Online is probably going to be your best source. Not skewed things from the media, but channels like this, any other trans channel will definitely educate you a lot. I'm going to link below the video, the Skylar 11 video about dear, I think it's dear parents, you have a trans kid. Very, very educational. So this is a very, very big topic, and I was trying to figure out what part of the topic I want to address. Okay, so what part I wanted to address for this topic. What I thought would be best is first I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience when I came out, and then I want to talk about things I wish I hadn't have heard from my parents when I did come out, and then what's best to say to your kids. Alright, so after I kind of approached my mom the idea that I was questioning my gender, she wasn't necessarily super accepting on the idea, but she was like, okay, cool, little phase you're going through, you can go ahead and question your gender, that's fine. So when I kind of started realizing what was going on with myself, I got really depressed and I stopped talking for a few days. And I was just like, why aren't you talking? Why aren't you talking? Why aren't you talking? And she started getting really, really mad at me because I wasn't talking. So finally she kind of sat me down. She's like, why aren't you talking? But I guess she wasn't, but she was really, really angry with me. And I just kind of was like, Mom, I'm a boy. And she didn't take it too well at first. I don't think it was what she really intended to say, but I think she was mad, so she just kind of yelled out things. And, so in the heat of the moment, she started just yelling crazy things at me. She said that she would never call me a boy, that this was, that I'm not a boy. She said things like you'll never go on hormones, and pretty much just telling me that this was a phase. And so that experience was very, very hard for me to deal with. So yeah, she was still using female pronouns, but then she started to kind of respect the fact that I was transgender, and she was calling me transgender even though she was still using female pronouns, which is kind of an odd, confusing time period. I just don't think she's ready to make that change. So then after what happened with Leela Alcorn, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, this is what is happening, And so I told her explained to her why I was so depressed, how I was really feeling. And soon after that, she started making the change to male pronouns, and it was probably the best thing. And it was probably one of the best things ever. It made me feel so great. Other side of my family, well, for the other side of my family, they still haven't started using male pronouns. We're working on it. So, things I wish I hadn't been told, of course, things my mother said about it's a phase and things, because that really, really harms you when you're just like, no, it's not. This is actually everything. Ugh. So yeah, that's a hard one to hear, it's a phase. It's also, this is one of my biggest points that I want to make in this video, was talking to your kids about dysphoria. So, I think it's very hard for cis people to understand just how hard it can be to have dysphoria and to talk about it. It's kind of I have a therapist. She is specialized in trans kids, but she's a cis woman herself, and she always is asking me to open up about dysphoria, and I don't think people are sensitive to just how hard that can be. Because when I came out to my dad, he was like, okay, where is this coming from, why? And I was kind of trying to explain dysphoria, but very, very slowly because it was very, very hard for me. And he was just kind of rushing it. And I was just like, Dad, this is hard. This is hard to talk to you about how I feel about my body. Maybe I just like don't have a good relationship with my parents, or I'm not comfortable with them, but that's very, very, very hard to do. So if you're a parent watching this, please be easy on your child about things like that, about opening up, because it can be very, very difficult, and sometimes their personal feelings can really do a lot of very depressing things for them. It can be hard. Pretty much one of the most important things is still treat your kid like a human being. This doesn't change them. It changes their pronoun. They're still the same person. I think a lot of parents feel that when their kids transition, they're losing either like a son or a daughter. You're not. They're still the same person. They just have a different title in a way. So what I wish my parents would have said is I wish they would have been more accepting in the beginning, but I understand now that it's hard for parents to be accepting. I wish that they would have just allowed me the time to open up myself and try not force it as much. And overall, I just think parents need to learn to treat their kids a little bit more like people, because they're still people. They just switched around the genders that you gave them at first, and just respect your child. Trust me, you will love your child a lot more if they are you'll love your child a lot more if they're happy and not depressed all the time because you're like trying to erase their identity. So, being trans is not a choice. Love your kids. It's normal. Okay, cool. You're an awesome parent if you're watching this video. That means you are trying. So good for you. Put a few links. I think that'll help. Alright. I love everybody. If you're just a viewer of Transtastic, I love you. I will see you next week. It has been nice talking to you. Bye!